Hey there, Ryan Webb here, and in this video we're going to dive into your human design gates and channels to really help you understand how you can integrate the wisdom of your gates and channels into what you already might know about your type, strategy, authority, and profile. And if you don't already know your type, strategy, authority, and profile, I invite you to take a moment to pause the video, go to orionweb.com/hdguide, and download a free 19-page report that includes your unique human design chart. Now, before we dive into the gates and channels, one more thing. I want to remind you that we are doing a giveaway right now for a 2-hour human design reading one-on-one with me for free. This is usually a $397 investment, and we're giving this reading away at the 50 subscriber mark. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to our channel, leave a comment on this video, hit the like button, and you're in. If you watch other videos, the more comments you leave on the more videos, the more chances you have to win the reading when we hit that 50 subscriber mark. I'll talk about that again at the end of the video. For now, let's dive in. So, your human design gates and channels, the important aspect of the gates and channels is that they are your unique gifts and talents. They are the things that make you really specifically unique to you about how energy flows through your body. So let's start with the gates. And there are 64 gates in your human design chart. And you'll see over here that those 64 gates are spread out throughout the 9 centers. And those 64 gates are always in the same location in your chart, meaning gate 1 is always in the G center in the middle there, gate 64 is always up in the head center, and so on and so forth. So the location of the gates doesn't change from person to person. What does change is which of those gates get defined or activated. Now, if you look over here, you'll see an example chart with some of the gates colored in. And this is an example chart that was run from the HD guide page on my homepage. And these symbols are referring to, on the right side, they're referring to the time of your birth. And on the left side, they're referring to a time 88 days before your birth. So we're looking at the locations of the planets in those 2 distinct moments. Now, in human design, the astrological wheel is then assigned to the I Ching wheel. And each of the gates of the ancient I Ching wisdom, the 64 hexagrams of the ancient I Ching wisdom that you can see surrounding the astrological chart of human design, is connected to a particular piece of wisdom of nature. Now, those wisdoms of nature have been imprinted into your human design chart over here. So each of the gates in your chart is a deep energetic intelligence, an energetic intelligence that is beyond the mind, it's beyond logic. It's the wisdom of nature. It's the quantum informational field wisdom. And this system, the correlation, the connection between the ancient wisdom of the I Ching, a 5,000-year-old Chinese philosophy, with this body graph chart was channeled in the 80s through Ra-Uru Hu. So the gates, how they're defined, is actually what makes up everything else. It's the foundation. It's what gives you your type, strategy, authority, and profile. Where the planets are in these 2 moments are the moment at your birth when you enter the world and the moment your soul enters your body. So there's these 2 distinct moments where there's an imprinting that happens. And this imprinting happens through the neutrino stream. And the neutrino stream is a stream of trillions of subatomic particles called neutrinos that hit your body in these 2 distinct moments. And they carry the information of anything they pass through, including the planets. So with this connection of the planets to the 64 hexagrams, to the 64 gates, this is where we start to see how the planet's location actually then imprints certain mechanics into your chart that are there and are uniquely yours. So anytime a planet is in a particular gate at the time of birth or the time 88 days before, that gate gets defined in your chart. And meaning it gets colored in, and there's a consistent energy experience that you can count on within yourself. The wisdom of this gate is something you can lean on. It's one of your natural gifts and talents that is always consistent within you. Now, the gates you don't have defined, you still have the potential to have gifts in those areas. It's just not consistent. So as the planets are moving through the sky, different gates will be activated on different days and weeks and months. And as you're walking through the auras of other people, other gates in your chart will be activated that aren't defined right now. They'll plug in as you walk into the aura of someone else that has that gate defined. The gates that you have defined are always consistently operating within you. When you understand those gates, you can learn to really trust them and lean on them. Now, the channels are defined whenever 2 gates on either side of a channel are defined. So you'll see a complete channel is a complete connection from one center to another. So when there's a channel completely defined by the 2 gates on either side of it, that defines the 2 centers on either side. So what we're defining with the channels is a complete energy flow from one center to another. So when you have a defined channel, you have not only the gifts and talents of the 2 gates, but you have the quantum intelligence of the channel and how it's connecting to those two areas of life and how energy moves between those two energy centers and what that means for how you're designed to move through the world naturally and in a way you can lean on and count on. So there's many different kinds of channels in your chart. There are individual channels, there's collective channels, and then there's tribal channels. So the individual channels are the channels of self-empowerment. And these channels you'll see showing up here highlighted. They're kind of the middle column. So it's really about your inner world, and it's the gates on the inside of things. The collective channels are on the outside of your field. They're the outside of your energetics anyway, of how the channels move through your body, because it's how you interact with the collective. And then the tribal channels is a unique little field, a few unique channels that are more about tribe. The individual channels are where you're here to be more self-empowered, and they have messages and gifts and talents about self-empowerment, while the collective channels are more about sharing, and the tribal channels are more about support. So you can kind of get a gauge for what gates and channels you have defined in the various three circuitry fields. So the individual circuitry, the collective circuitry, and the tribal circuitry can give you a feel for the energetic flavor of those gifts and talents. Basically, we can't go through all the gates here, the 64 gates in a video. But what I can say is that at a high level, when you're looking at your chart and you understand your type, strategy, authority, and profile, knowing that the reason you have a type of a generator, for example, is because you have a channel that has two gates, one in the sacral center and one in a different center, that is then defining and activating those two centers in a way that is consistent within you. So your sacral center is then defined, which gives you the experience of being a generator. If we're thinking about authority, then you may have a channel that is activating your solar plexus center, which would make you an emotional authority. So the high level information you're getting about type, strategy, authority, and profile is really, really important, but it's like knowing the sun sign of your astrology system. It's very, very high level. When you understand how your type is defined and how your authority is defined by your gates and channels, that's where you get to dive deeper and really understand more about your uniqueness and more about the whole story of your chart, of how energy moves through your body in the most natural way that you can rely on, count on, and lean into to create more ease in your life. So that's really all for this video. I hope it was enjoyable for you. I hope you got a lot out of it. And if you want to understand more about your specific gates and channels and dive into more detail, I highly recommend you subscribe to our video, leave a comment, hit that like button, because you will have an opportunity to win a free human design reading at the 50 subscriber mark. It's a giveaway we're doing, and all you have to do again is comment on the video as a subscriber, and the more videos you comment on between now and 50 subscribers, the more chance you'll have to win that reading. If you can't wait until then, download the guide and you'll have an opportunity actually to buy a human design reading. If you like your guide at brianoheb.com/HD guide, you'll have an opportunity to buy a masterclass for $7. And perhaps if you like that, you can go on and buy a human design reading through the website. So I hope to see you on a reading soon. It's really a profound tool that I've been using for 8 years. I start all my clients off with it. And the gates and channels are really where the juice is. So until then, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight you can start to use with your gates and channels in your chart. And I hope to see you again soon.